My name is Jonas Roach, and I'm a senior who will be graduating next week from Blacksburg High School. If you've ever talked to me, you would know that I'm a runner. I would venture to say that I was always a runner, even if I put other sports before it at the time. When we first moved to Blacksburg, I knew that running would be my top sport from then on, and I decided to commit myself fully to it. It went pretty well, all things considered, for my first 2 seasons. But I knew I wanted more, and I set my sights on running at the D1 level in the summer of my sophomore year. It had always been my dream to compete in a sport at that level, and I realized that I could set myself up for that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity if I worked hard enough. I took it to God and told him about my plans, how I knew I would need help, and I got to work on my junior year. At least, that was the plan. I injured my left knee and was unable to compete until the very end of the year, and I missed a total of 8 months. I was devastated, and the entire process of injury was very demoralizing. I felt alone, left out of team activities, unable to compete in my favorite sport, and in the back of my head, I also knew that I was hurting my college recruitment by not being allowed to compete. It got to the point where I contemplated quitting. Throughout this period of time, I'm not proud to say it, but I lost sight of the Lord for a bit. I stopped coming to him as much, and I wondered how he could let this happen to me when I had asked for strength and help in the process over the summer so many times. I felt abandoned and lost and didn't know where to go from that point. I had a heart-to-heart conversation with my coach about my faith, and my mom was always right by my side as well. Both of them turned me back to God, and I apologized to him for not trusting in him. I let go of my pain, anger, resentment, and decided to focus on just enjoying what I had in the moment, and things began to change. I started to get healthy and was able to run again, and I felt much better mentally. Within the next couple months, it was summer before senior year, and I was yet again ready to tackle my goals, this time making the promise that I would always trust in God and believe in his plans. Fast forward to the end of senior cross-country season, and I had done exactly what I planned to do. I placed 4th at our regional meet and 9th at the state meet, receiving my first all-state honors, and it had felt like a huge accomplishment. I had taken a visit to my first choice of D1 school, and everything was going well. Then, the week after states happened, and I couldn't get out of bed. I was tested for all different types of things, and we found out that I had contracted mono. All I had needed was a good indoor season, and I could have set myself up to get into my top choice school, but I had gotten terribly sick instead. I couldn't run for 2 months, and I began to feel panic set in. I couldn't shake the feeling of a massive grandfather clock, constantly ticking away the seconds of my dream. I had worked so hard, done it all by myself, but in reality I hadn't. The entire time I had God by my side, helping me along the way, so I stopped. I stepped back and realized that it was all part of his plan for me. Yet again, I had to come to terms with my situation and realize that whatever was meant for me was happening because it was for him to decide. I put my full faith in him again, and he began to move in ways that I had never imagined possible. I came back to the very end of the indoor season, running 3 back-to-back PRs in the 2-mile, as well as finishing 3rd in the region and 10th in the state, when a couple weeks before, I didn't even think I would have the opportunity to run in either of those meets. Throughout the last 2 years, I have missed more races than I've actually run. I've been sick, injured, mentally burnt out, and more. And yet, each and every time, God has always been there for me and showed me the path was never going to be easy. In the darkest parts of my life, he shined his light onto me and gave me the strength I needed to pursue the goal. And pursue that goal I did, as once again I reached out to multiple coaches. I sent out 10, 20, even 30 emails and no responses but one. I decided to take my chance and quickly found out that this could be the spot. One final gift from God throughout the process. We talked, set up a visit, and before I realized it, I had a decision to make between the original school where I was not guaranteed a spot and the new one in which I was. Ultimately, I decided I couldn't give up on my dream, and I accepted my offer to run on a scholarship at UNC Asheville. Less than 2% of high school athletes will go on to compete as a D1 athlete, and I would never be able to have done so without the help from him. I would never be in the spot without him, and he has showed me immense grace throughout the process. My mom always sends me the same message before every race that perfectly sums it up. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future, Jeremiah 29:11. And now that my high school journey is almost done and my college one is about to begin, I know that those words couldn't be more true. Thank you.